Hi, everybody. How are you? I nearly forgot to go live today. I was in my own little world. And then I thought, oh my God, it's like 8, nearly 8:30. What am I doing? I completely forgot. I said I was going to be going live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Ta-da! Today's Monday. So today I was with clients all day. That's why I think my brain wasn't functioning very well this evening. And first, I went to a furniture showroom, and because of COVID, they're not allowed to have a lot of people at one time. So luckily, it was just my clients and myself, and we had the whole showroom to ourselves, and it was really good. So, what do you do in a designer showroom? A lot of people say, "Well, what is there?" Well, there's a lot of furniture from different catalogs, and they curate the furniture from different catalogs, and usually a company focuses on one type of furniture. For example, they could be country, or they can be contemporary, or one company does just sofas, and upholstery. Another company just focuses on rugs. So every company kind of has their specialty. And a designer showroom is a place where they have many different companies according to their, I would say, aesthetic, and they help people pull together a look that is yours, original. So I think it's really good if you have your own aesthetic and it's a strong aesthetic. So that's why we go to a showroom. A lot of times you can choose things that suits your taste. Hey, Deb. Thanks for watching. So, for example, I have a client right now. One has this kind of country look, earthy, woodsy kind of aesthetic. So she likes very natural materials, a lot of wood, and she lives by a lake. And she also is kind of a artist, I would like to say, because she likes to knit and she's very creative. So her taste has more of a natural vibe to it. And my other client has a very Asian taste. He likes like Zen Buddhism. He likes Japanese screens, and he likes those kind of what do you call those? Those like Tibetan singing bowls, the kind that you hit it and it goes for like a really long time. It vibrates. That's his aesthetic. And he's very definite. This is what I like. And I really admire that, because today we all kind of become the same, especially in America. A lot of the look is, what do they call it now? Kind of country. It became popular because of TV. So everybody has like a white shaker kitchen, and you have this farm look, and you have, black accents. But then if you go to every house and every house starts to look like that, then it really doesn't show your character. We all have our own unique character. And I think it's really important that you show who you are. And how do we do that? Well, you might, for example, maybe it's where you're from, If you're from, I don't know, like my husband is from England, and I don't know what his taste is, to be honest with you. But, there's certain things that he likes. There's the colors he chooses, and maybe it's from, he's from the countryside. He likes a lot of those greens and natural colors. I'm from Japan and Hawaii, so I have a kind of a funny aesthetic in that sense. I'm very Asian, but I do love the bright, bold colors that you have in tropical flowers, for example. But that's unique to me. So first you got to define what you like. And sometimes it has nothing to do with your nationality, but sometimes it's very strong, you know. For example, my client that likes really Asian things, he's got a very definite color palette. And he says, I like browns, yellows, and oranges and golds. Very clear, very, very clear. And for me to help him, it's very easy. And I said, this is what you like, right? And he goes, yeah. It's either brown, yellow, gold, or orange. So it's not very difficult. But it's much easier if the person knows exactly what they like. So how do you know what you like? Sometimes you can tell by how you dress, you know. What colors do you wear often? What colors you look like you think, oh, I really like that color, you know. I have a friend who's from South Africa, and she says, oh, you know, I really like these yellows. And she says her grandma was a painter, and her drawings and her paintings had a lot of this vibrant yellow in it. And so whenever she sees that yellow, it's probably a very particular yellow, she gets very excited. So maybe there's something in your childhood, maybe it's something that you've experienced that makes you excited. So think about what you wear. Maybe you buy the same type of clothing, you know, the same colors. I have another friend who only wears black, just top to bottom, always black. However, she's got the most, what would you say, fascinating kind of jewelry. She likes just chunky, colorful jewelry, red big beads. Yeah, she's a bead person, I guess I would call her. And she would just decorate her around here with just you know, fascinating kind of sculptural jewelry. But everything else was black, and that was her style. So she could never go wrong. The only thing she would buy would be black clothes, but she would buy the most gorgeous type of jewelry. So in the same way, if you know your taste, maybe you like a really clean, think about it. You could have a white background and then buy really colorful objects. That's the kind of way she dressed, right? But I mean, you don't really want a black background, but you know, maybe it's an all white background, and then you have these strong sculptural pieces like a vase or a sculpture that's bright colors or something. You know, that could be interesting too. So first, I think it's important to ask yourself, and a good way is to see how you dress, you know, see what kind of handbags you like, see what kind of jewelry you like, what kind of shoes you like. Or maybe even for a guy, you know, like I have boys, I don't have girls, and they're not into clothes, but they do have a certain type of aesthetic, you know. One likes the way, the color of their clothes they choose. You know, one likes brighter colors, another one is very neutral, but a little funky. The style, the zippers, a little bit of an angle. You know, everybody has their taste. So, okay, after the furniture shop, I went to a cabinet shop. And the cabinets are now, because of COVID, about 10 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks to deliver. So you order it, and then it takes that long to get. Because I talked to one person, they said the factories also are under regulations in America. So they can't have a full factory working with everybody on, you know, on the assembly line. It's like every other person has to come in, you know, because they have to be 6 feet apart. So let's say it used to take 4 to 6 weeks. Now it takes twice that. So between 8 to 12 weeks it's going to take to get your cabinets. So everything slowed down. Everybody in the showrooms really stressed. And it's kind of a very difficult time. So prices are very high. So if you want to remodel, there's something to think about. Prices are really high because we don't have a lot of material right now because of COVID. A lot of things aren't coming in from China. That's a problem for America. But apparently we're getting stuff from Europe. So if you choose things from Europe, you're still okay. From China, a lot of the tile isn't coming in. So the tile shops have difficulty. I went to one tile shop a couple months ago, a showroom, not a shop. It's a showroom. And I went in, I said, hey, where's all your stuff? And the showroom was kind of like empty. And he says, well, we're not getting the stuff. I said, why? He said, COVID. So they had to pull everything off their showroom. And so it was really sparse. Then I went to another showroom, and again, very sparse. Then I went to the next showroom, and then they had a bunch of stuff. And I said, well, how come you guys have a lot of stuff? They were mostly from Europe. So things from Europe are still coming in. I have a German cabinet manufacturer. He says business is booming. They're getting all the stuff from Germany, no problem. It's going as usual. And in fact, because of COVID, many people are remodeling. They're stuck at home. So are you one of those? So those are things that you got to think about. If you can get it in a one funny way, maybe better get it now. It's just really hard to predict what kind of materials are available and when we'll get the next shipment. And labor is very expensive. So if you can learn to do things yourself, more power to you. We went to IKEA, and this is supposed to be locked down like in Washington State. Apparently we have like 4,000 cases a day. I mean, it's really crazy. But so what are they doing about it? Well, what they're doing is from tomorrow, the restaurants cannot have people eating inside anymore. And so it's really bad for the restaurant business. So they can do takeout, they can eat outside. So basically it's takeout. It's not good for our state at all. It's really, but what do? I went to my friend today and she said she had some church function and she didn't go. She said she just didn't feel right. She says, I'm not exactly sure what kind of function it was, but she didn't go. And then she said, and guess what? I said, what? She said there were 70 people there and they all got COVID. All. Now that's something to think about. Who knows how many people had it? Who knows how it got transferred? And I don't know exactly what kind of function it was. So I'm not being very informative, but 70 people went to this function and they all got it. So we do have to be careful, but still we need to live our lives. So that's why I had to go to the showrooms today with my client. And then we went to IKEA today and I thought, okay, we'll try to keep our distance, And that place was busy. I mean, busy on Monday night? Monday afternoon? Evening? Huh. And there were even families, mother came with 2 kids. I thought, why is she here? But I think people are just tired of staying at home. They want to get out. They're in their home a lot. So they notice things that they probably never noticed before. Oh, I need this and I want to organize this area. And so I guess they come to IKEA and it was very, very busy. I don't know how the shops are going to be tomorrow, but I know restaurants, they're not allowed to have people in. So I think capacity, they might have to control it. So if you're looking to remodel, there's so many things you got to think about to get the material. So my suggestion is actually, I use also an online supplier for a lot of my plumbing. And I said, how's it going? And they said, oh, they're okay. So you can also order stuff from IKEA online. Online is a really good option now because of what's going on. But When it's heavy items, sometimes they charge for shipping. So you look at that. If they charge for shipping, also the thing to look at when you purchase online is if they will take returns. And if they do take returns, you got to look to see if they will pay for the shipping or not. So that's a big deal for me because a lot of plumbing and a lot of home renovation things are heavy. So if they don't have that kind of extra shipping service, I don't use it very often because it just doesn't add up. You might as well go to Home Depot or the local supplier. The problem I have with the local supplier, some, not all of them, but some of the ones that I use, if you return something, they charge a 30% restocking fee or 25% restocking fee. So, that's another thing you got to think about. There's all these little things that they don't tell you about that you need to think about because then it starts to add up. And when you do a remodeling project for your home, my suggestion is you make a list. You got to look at the big picture first. That's what we do. We look at the big, okay, let's say I want to remodel my bathroom. First thing you got to know is your timeline and your budget. If you have a budget of, let's say, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, I don't know. Everybody's budget is different. Then you work. First, you got to buy all your materials, your toilet paper holder, your hand towels, your sink, your mirror, your tiles, what kind of flooring are you going to put in? There's so many things to think about. Your lighting, you need an exhaust fan, you know? And then if you just put down the materials, that's one cost. Then you need the materials, labor costs, right? You got to demo it, then you got to prep it, then you got to install it. And there's things that you don't think about, like grout, padding, paint, and they all add up. But the most expensive thing now, I find, is labor. It's just, I don't think we have enough labor. So if any of you are very good with your hands, that's one profession that I think America really needs for a long period of time. We are lacking very good labor for, tiling, construction, um, any kind of building. And because it's hard. And the fumes. I I was at one job once and I walked in the door because I had to go in and the fumes were like, whoa. And I was like, I couldn't breathe. It was like, how it's like really strong glue, or when I was young, like turpentine, the paint, you clean the paint with turpentine, that smell, the gas was like, whoa. And it was some kind of glue to glue down some vinyl, I think it was. And the guy was working on it. And I said, Dave, oh my God, open the door or something. It was so bad, the fumes. And he goes, what? And I said, don't you smell it? And they do it so often, they're kind of immune to it. He couldn't smell it. I thought I was going to die. And he couldn't smell it. I thought, oh my gosh. He goes, you got to understand, I've been doing this for over 30 years. I don't smell it. I think, oh, how could you not smell it? But hey, if they've been doing it for so long, they don't smell it. I don't know. The other day I went into, we were doing a new construction, and they spray paint, and they do the window frames in a different kind of paint. It's a much stronger enamel kind of paint. Oh, I was in there maybe not even a minute, and I had to run out. My eyes were just like crying, and they were in there like it was nothing. I'm sure it's not really good for you, but I guess we adapt, and I don't know. I don't think that's. If it was me, I would be wearing like a gas mask or something. It was just very, very difficult to breathe. And I had one of those just basic, those blue. filter masks on because it was during COVID. I swear I couldn't breathe. I had to literally say, "Excuse me, I got to get out of here or yes, I'm going to faint." And I just had to, I literally ran out and I just went, it was scary. It's really, so a lot of times when you do construction, it is toxic and it's, you got to air it out, keep your windows open as much as possible, air it out. And for me, it's really important to use what they call low VOC paint or zero VOC paint. I've told this story before, but at the time, my family, we were living in Singapore, and I have three sons, and the youngest at the time was 2 years old. And we had just moved to temporary housing because we were supposed to move. And so when you go into temporary housing, what they do is they paint it for each new tenant. So it had new paint, and you can kind of smell a little bit, but it wasn't that bad. And I'm sensitive. So we were there, and maybe about I don't know how long after, my son got very sick. And I thought it was just a cold. So I took him in. And I used to go to the pediatrician's office so often because in Singapore, my kids were very, very sick. And I think back now, this is over 20 years ago. I think back now, and I believe it's because they spray pesticides on their vegetation. So basically, Singapore is kind of in the tropics. It's a very humid, damp place, and they get dengue fever, and there's a lot of disease. So, and there's a lot of plants on the roads, along the freeway. I mean, there's just a lot of greenery. It's like a jungle, right? Everything grows. And you're not allowed to have still water because, you can get sick. So what they did back in the day, I don't know if they still do it now. They had these trucks and they would literally spray. They go, psh, and they would spray the streets. Psh, and so that all, it was spraying all this chemical to kill the bugs and whatever. And they would come to where we used to live in this apartment complex. And it's beautiful because it's green, and you got these tropical plants. And we would close our windows and sliding doors, and this white mist would come inside and it would smell. And I think that's why my kids were sick all the time. I'm not kidding. And I used to go to the pediatrician so often that he'd say, "Mrs. Holmes," one day he told me, he said, "Mrs. Holmes, why don't you move next door?" And then he says, and then I could pour the medicine through some kind of channel so you don't have to come every day. I mean, that's how bad it was. I used to go to the pediatrician's office so often, and he was so sick of seeing me and prescribe. But my kids were just so sick. I mean, they get over one cold and they get sick again, and they get over one. The other thing I think is also hot and cold, humid. Everybody is in air conditioning and then no air conditioning, and I think that kind of stuff makes you sick. And kids have to go through this antibodies and build their immune system. So the funny thing is, I think after they were like 6 years old, they never got sick. It's true. It's really weird. I think they got all their sick from 0 to 6. And then after that, they never got sick. So I don't know if it was good or bad, but that's what happened. But so if your kids are sick from like 0 to 6, don't be surprised. I think that's normal. And then maybe later on, they'll be fine. It's just so hard to predict. So anyway, mine got sick all the time. And then I got kind of nervous and I thought something was wrong with them. But later on, I found out that, nay, that's just how it is. So anyway, kind of went off topic, but a lot of building in America, we still have a lot of toxicity in our materials. There's a lot of what we call off-gassing. So paint is one thing. Glue is another thing. Um, what else? Some of the yeah, they use a lot of glue in some of the cabinets. So you got to ask. And the wood, they use some kind of binder. What is it? What is it called? Um, resin. Some of the resins have some kind of toxicity. So you've got to read everything to make sure you don't get sick. And especially now we're at home a lot, So I know in some countries like here it's winter, but if you are remodeling, make sure it's well ventilated. You open your windows, you turn on your fans, and stay safe. It's really important to keep that place ventilated because you can get sick. My son ended up, luckily, the pediatrician caught it. He says, this is not the flu. So he sent me home and with his usual medicine, but my son's fever wouldn't go down. And then he had, like, the white of your eyes, they turned red. His was like blood red. It was so scary. Then his lips got what I would say strawberry red, and his tongue was strawberry red. And I thought, this is not the flu. This is something else. And I knew, and so I took him back that same day, back to the pediatrician. I said, doctor, something's not right. I don't know if it's like your mother's instinct. I said, something is not right. And he looked at him and he said, you're right. And then he diagnosed him and he says, I need you to go to the hospital immediately. He has what I think is Kawasaki disease. I said, what's that? I was a young mother. I didn't know anything. And he says, it's a disease basically that, they don't know what causes this disease, but apparently it's very common in boys under the age of 5 who are Asian. And then I don't know if some Japanese doctor found it. It's called Kawasaki disease. So anyway, I took him to the hospital. He was immediately admitted, and they gave him some, I forgot what it was, IV. And they said that if you don't get that medication within the first 10 days of catching this disease, you will have heart disease for the rest of your life. It was very, very scary. And so luckily it was within the 10 days because his symptoms were so bad that we were able to catch it very early and he was okay. And then it's kind of a long story, so I might as well finish it. We moved to Kuwait. And again, we went into temporary housing, and this one was a kind of an old housing apartment complex, and everything was old. And then we searched for a new place to live, and I found some place, and it was new construction. So they said I had to go pick out my own curtains, and I had to find my own carpet, and what else did we do? And then my own appliances. There's certain rules, and every country is a little bit different. So that's what I did. And we moved in. Then maybe a few days, maybe a week later, I can't exactly remember. And, I didn't know. I was new to the country. I didn't know anything. I can't speak the language. I didn't know where the shops were. I was still trying to find out my way around the place. And my son wasn't well. The same 2-year-old. So he's 2.5 now. And I found in the phone book where I should go, and I found an international clinic. And so I took him there, and I met the pediatrician. He was a very nice Syrian man. And we thought it was a flu. Then I come home, same thing. But this time it's different. he started to get a bunch of big hives on his body. Yeah. And I thought, oh, something's not right, and he had a high fever. So I knew something wasn't right. So I hopped in a taxi again and went back. And I said, something's not right. And in Kuwait, it's a little different. The hours are like 7 in the morning till 2, and then they take a break and they come back at 5 to like 8. So they take a siesta. So this is already nighttime. I went after 5. And when I went back, he said he started to read because, they have that siesta. He felt something was wrong too. And during my first visit, I explained to him that my son already had Kawasaki disease, and that was in February. He was hospitalized, and I told him what symptoms he had, just information for a new doctor to know. So when I went back, he said, I did some research while you were, while we had the break. And he said, I thought you would come back. I said, why? He said, I read about it. He has Kawasaki. I said, no, he just had Kawasaki. How could he have it again? And he said, no, you read it and there's just a whole list of symptoms, whole list. And I said, but it's different. He doesn't have red eyes. He doesn't have a red mouth. He doesn't have a red tongue. I said, he now has these hives all over his body. It's different. And so the pediatrician says, so what if it's different? There's different symptoms. I said, but that was just 6. How could he get it again? What's the chances? He said, the chances are 2%. But 2% is 2%. He could be the 2%. I thought, oh my goodness. So anyhow, I ended up going back home, and then I went to pack my bag, and he wrote me a letter in Arabic. He says, you must go to the National Hospital. You give this to the doctor. And then I got scared. I got really, really scared, and I didn't know what to do. And so I went home because I had my nanny there with my other 2 kids, and my husband was away in China on a business trip. And I said, I have to go to the doctor. And it was a very scary feeling. And so we were all nervous. We didn't know what to expect. And so I went home, packed a bag, got my son. And as I looked at him, he was getting limp, just kind of like it was so scary. And so the doctor was very kind. I had the letter in Arabic, and he also wrote the address in Arabic and on a piece of paper. He says, you give this to the taxi driver and he will take you to the hospital. So I said, okay. So I called a taxi, and the taxi came, and I couldn't speak any Arabic, and I just gave it to him, and he saw me with my son. And by this time my son is limp, and I was scared. so scared. So we get to the hospital, and then, it's nighttime already. It's like maybe 9 o'clock by then, and they have like a emergency. So I went in, and then the doctor saw him, and I gave him the letter, and he opened it up. And he read it, and then he diagnosed him. And then he says he must be admitted right away. But he could speak a little bit of English. He could say that much. And he looked at me, and he knew that I was broken. And he looked at me, and he says, you must be strong. You must be strong. He says, and don't forget, Kawasaki is not fatal. And then I just went, oh, he's right. The other doctor told me that too. Even if you get it, you do recover. They don't know why, but you recover. But you will have heart disease for the rest of your life. But you recover. But that just made me just like, and so we were admitted. And then it kind of got scary because, his hives started to spread. Then he got bloated. His hands looked like little boxing gloves. They were all poofy. His face, everything was like bloated. It was a scary time. And I think back now, and why am I telling you this? And I think back now, and the only two common things that happened both times he got it was we went into a new construction with new paint. And there was new paint, new curtains, new carpet. That was the only thing. And my other two didn't get it because I think they were older, so maybe their lungs were developed. So it really scares me when you have a small child. You got to make sure you don't move in right away. If you're going to do construction, paint first, air it out, give it time. Don't paint and move in the next day, air it out, let it go, do other stuff, and just give it some time so you don't get sick. And even as adults, because probably our lungs are developed, we don't smell it. If it's an infant under 2, they smell it and it affects them more. So you just look for the correct paint. Nowadays, they have what they call low VOC. It's a volatile organic compound paint, or the other one is even zero VOC paint. So yeah, that's something that when you're doing your house, look at those things, especially if you have small children. Look at those things, or if you have grandchildren, And the thing is, we get excited because we're going to have a baby, and then we fix up. In America, what they do is they fix up the room and they paint it and they put all kinds of stuff in, and they're waiting for the baby. If you're going to do that early, please. And actually a pregnant woman shouldn't probably be doing that, but do it early before the baby comes so you can air it out. And we sometimes we think new is good, but actually natural is good. Natural, just wood, doesn't have to have anything fancy on it. Using cotton or linen, that kind of stuff for baby is good, really. Okay, so wood toys, maybe not so much plastic, but everything I know is plastic for babies. But those are the kind of stuff that we kind of have to realize that, maybe things around your house might be good enough, like give them a wooden spoon, and then they bang on the pots and pans. Like, actually, that's healthier. And if they put it in their mouth, it's okay. It's wood, So things like that we got to think about. Nowadays, we're so high tech, and we got to be careful. I think we really have to be careful. In feng shui too, there's a lot of things we can't see with, like off-gassing, you can't see, but you do get sick. And sometimes we can't smell it, but you can get sick. So now, since, going to the showrooms, and I see a lot of people are remodeling, we're doing things in our homes, just be a little bit conscious about it and try to be as natural as possible. And probably the other thing is cleaning supplies. Some are really strong. And if you have to use something strong, open the window, air it out. Just air it out. So if any of you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And it doesn't have to be feng shui questions. I know a lot about design, I guess. Not so much exact construction, but I know enough construction that, maybe I can be of help. There's also a lot of new material, and there's always an argument which is better, natural or the new high-tech stuff. And it depends on its purpose. Sometimes wood is good, and sometimes new material is good. In America right now, the flooring, the biggest craze is what we call LVP, luxury vinyl planks. And it looks like wood because they kind of do like an image on it. But it's vinyl, and it's called luxury vinyl because why? It's like 100% waterproof. And sometimes you can't, if you're far away, or if you got bad eyesight, like I do now, it's harder. It's hard to tell now because it looks so real, and they're good for. You can even put it in a bathroom now. I do that for some of my clients because they don't because tile can be hard, and so they wanted something a little bit more resilient, and they don't like grout lines. So this luxury vinyl, you don't have any grout, and you can put it on the floor because it's 100% waterproof. I mean, that's incredible. But we also use it a lot in basements. Where I live, there's a lot of humidity, and it gets damp, and it's dark, and mold is an issue, and water is an issue. So luxury vinyl actually works really well in the climate I'm in. And actually, my family's in Hawaii, and it's good for Hawaii too because we have a lot of humidity in Hawaii. And it's hard for upkeep when you have those kind of difficult environments. If it's, Seattle's kind of weird. It's dry, it's not humid, but we get a lot of rain. And then we don't get a lot of sun. So wet and no sun means mold, but it's not humid. So it's dry. It's kind of weird, but that's how it is. I don't know what your climate is like, and I don't know if you have luxury vinyl, but maybe you can look into that. Luxury vinyl is what everybody's using now. Hey, let's see. Nirmala. Hi, Nirmala and Mary. Hey, Mary. And Debbie's still there. Thanks for watching. So if you have any questions, I wonder if you could just type and then I can see questions. I don't know. I don't see Facebook Messenger. I don't know if I can see Facebook Messenger when I'm on my phone. I don't see it. I wonder if you can type. There's a message. Oh, I don't. Oh, I can write a comment, but I don't know if I can see your comment. Mary, can you write me a comment and I can see, or somebody write me a comment, see if I can see it? I don't know. I don't even know how to respond. I'm not seeing anything. I don't know how I'm supposed to see a comment. Okay, that's something I got to study. I thought that people could type and I could see, but I can't see anything right now. I don't know how to see. Okay, that's something I got to research. Sorry about that. I thought Messenger. No, I can't pull it up. Okay. I don't know how to do this. Sorry about that. I thought it would just pop up on my screen or something. I'm gonna do testing. Can you see testing? Testing. See, I can do that. Can you guys write? And then I saw mine. It says testing. But I can't see anybody else's message. Did anybody write me a message? And then I can't even check. Pathetic. Oh well. Oh well. Okay, so today was what to do during COVID. So if you're going to do your own space, first thing is think of your personal aesthetic. Define it, okay? I like these colors. I like these styles. And then you just get a whole bunch of pictures from the internet, from magazines, and you create your own aesthetic. And as you do it, you kind of define it slowly. You think, oh, I didn't notice, but I guess I like, whatever it is, turquoise. So then you can kind of find out what you like. The next thing is materials are now scarce. So if you need stuff for your home, get it and hoard it now. Who knows what's going to happen because of COVID. And then number 3, when you buy material, make sure that, if they have a return policy, if you buy online, how you can return it. Some places they won't accept returns, other places will. Those are the kind of things you got to look at. And then the other thing is toxicity. Toxicity is a big deal. Now it's not like you can renovate your house and move out. You got to stay home. So make sure you can air it out, make sure it's not very toxic, and see what else you can purchase. And especially paint is very readily available to buy non-toxic paint. And that takes up quite a bit of real estate within your home. So try to use low or non-VOC paint. Okay, I think I talked a lot. So we'll see you tomorrow night. If you've got any questions, please post it on the group and I will see if I can respond tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. Good night.